Have you ever laid awake at night, gripped by the suffocating realization that the life you're living feels nothing like the dreams you once had? Do you secretly fear you'll never live up to your potential, quietly haunted by the thought you've somehow failed your younger self? You're not alone. Over 75% of gifted people silently battle intense disappointment, trapped by expectations they never fully chose. I know this because I was one of them. I vividly remember my graduation day, standing on stage as applause echoed through the auditorium. I'd done everything right, perfect grades, glowing praise from teachers, proud smiles from family, yet as the applause faded, a deep emptiness settled into my chest. Standing there, smiling emptily, I felt a sudden wave of panic. I couldn't breathe, and my vision blurred as I realized I had no idea who I was without their approval. My heart raced as I realized with startling clarity I had spent my entire life pursuing a vision others had painted for me. Carl Jung's words struck me painfully in that moment. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Those words haunted me, because beneath the trophies, awards, and polite applause, I had no idea who I truly was. From childhood, others defined exactly who I should become: gifted, brilliant, destined for greatness. Success felt exhilarating at first, like climbing a magnificent mountain, but each step upward only revealed another unreachable peak. Achievements never belonged to me. They became endless obligations to fulfill others' expectations. I'd become trapped by what psychologists call identity foreclosure, living an identity so thoroughly scripted by others that I quietly forgot I ever had a choice. I felt numb, profoundly confused, lost inside a life that no longer felt like mine. Have you ever wondered whose approval you're quietly living for? Why does success feel so empty for those praised for their gifts? Søren Kierkegaard explained our hidden pain clearly. The most common form of despair is not being who you really are. Jung called the mask we wear our persona, the carefully crafted image we present to the world, concealing our authentic selves beneath layers of false perfection. Behind that persona, we silently suffer, suffocated by expectations we never fully consented to. I found heartbreaking comfort in the true story of Barbara Newhall Follett. At 12, Barbara was America's literary prodigy. Her novels celebrated nationwide. Yet beneath her brilliant persona lay devastating pressures no one else saw. When fame faded and her father abandoned the family, Barbara quietly disappeared at 25, stepping silently into darkness, never to return. Her extraordinary potential dissolved into silence, becoming a tragic ghost of unlived dreams. William James Sidis's life mirrors Barbara's hauntingly. Known as one of the smartest people ever, speaking numerous languages and attending Harvard at 11, Sidis bore crushing expectations. Eventually he rejected society's narrative entirely, choosing isolation over applause. At 46 he died alone and quietly forgotten, shattered by the brilliance meant to liberate him. These haunting lives offer us a profound warning. What good is potential if it silently destroys who we truly are? If we never confront our authentic selves, their fate could quietly become ours. Late one night, alone and trembling, heart racing, I finally whispered the truth I'd avoided my entire life. Perhaps the story of my potential was never mine. Perhaps feeling lost wasn't tragedy, it was life's urgent invitation, daring me to discover myself beneath everyone else's expectations. If you feel trapped in the shadow of who you're supposed to be, stay with me. Because what I discovered next didn't just change my life, it saved it. What if everything you've believed about yourself has quietly been a lie? Carl Jung warned explicitly. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. For gifted individuals, our unconscious quietly sabotages us in ways we rarely recognize. The intelligence praised since childhood becomes our heaviest burden. A paradox we were never warned about, silently poisoning our lives from within. From the earliest age, we've been subtly conditioned to believe our worth depends solely on achievement. Every gold star, every trophy, every approving smile quietly reinforced one toxic idea: I'm valuable only if I succeed. Success felt intoxicating but fleeting. Every praise deepened our quiet fear, disappointing others next time. Our self-worth became fragile, easily shattered by the smallest mistake. Have you ever stared at your dream job application, heart pounding, finger trembling over the submit button, then quietly deleted it, convinced they'd realize you didn't belong? Maybe you felt like Franz Kafka did when he confessed to a friend, "I'm afraid to write because each word reveals the fraud that I am." Kafka, despite his brilliance, spent his life quietly tormented by impostor syndrome, terrified of being exposed, never able to fully embrace his immense talent. This hidden enemy whispers cruelly to each gifted individual, "You're a fraud waiting to be discovered," quietly causing us to shrink our ambitions, sabotage our dreams, and settle into smaller, safer lives far beneath our true potential. Gifted individuals also quietly torture themselves with perfectionism, every tiny mistake magnified, every minor flaw silently confirming we're never enough. Leonardo da Vinci, arguably history's greatest genius, left countless masterpieces unfinished, paralyzed by the haunting fear of imperfection. This relentless pressure to avoid mistakes quietly drains us, destroying our joy and peace from within. Psychologist Barry Schwartz calls this the paradox of choice, a cruel irony gifted individuals know intimately. Endless possibilities don't liberate us, they paralyze us. More choices lead to deeper anxiety, quietly terrifying us into indecision. Each path we reject becomes another ghost haunting our nights, whispering, "What if?" Eventually, we freeze, drifting quietly into lives we never consciously chose, lives marked by silent despair, regret, and existential loneliness. Many gifted adults silently experience burnout, a lesser-known yet deeply painful condition where intelligent minds stagnate in jobs and tasks beneath their intellectual capacities. Over 60% of gifted adults report profound dissatisfaction with their careers, quietly feeling trapped, their days slipping away unnoticed. I vividly remember sitting at my desk one afternoon, watching the clock tick slowly, realizing I had spent 5 years quietly trapped in meaningless routines, wasting the life I once cherished. The seconds stretched painfully into eternity. My heart raced, palms damp with anxiety as I silently wondered, is this really all my life will ever be, counting down hours in quiet despair? Cognitive dissonance quietly destroys us too, an internal agony we rarely admit openly. When reality doesn't match who we were told we would become, we silently ask ourselves, if I'm so smart, why am I failing? Have you ever hidden your shame behind polite smiles at reunions? Terrified, someone might ask, "What happened to you? You had so much potential." To ease this unbearable tension, we rationalize quietly, convincing ourselves we're content in jobs, relationships, or lives we secretly despise. Jung called these rationalizations our shadows, darker truths we suppress, quietly sabotaging every genuine attempt at happiness. Experts call this painful reality the gifted kid syndrome, the silent anguish of adults whose childhood brilliance now feels like a cruel joke, a haunting reminder of unmet expectations. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how," but for many of us, the why we were given, money, titles, status, was never truly ours. We quietly replaced genuine purpose with shallow external markers, leaving our hearts empty and aching. If you've ever felt this deep, silent despair, you're exactly where you need to be. But here's the terrifying truth. Until you bravely face the shadows haunting you, they'll quietly control you forever. Until you uncover the unconscious truth sabotaging your happiness, your gifted mind will remain your heaviest burden. What if everything you've built your life upon is quietly breaking your heart? What if your true self is silently waiting, buried beneath the life others planned for you? Confronting this terrifying paradox might be the only way to finally set yourself free. Right now, in this very moment, ask yourself honestly, which of your dreams are you quietly burying alive? Dreams you know you'll someday regret abandoning. Carl Jung vividly warned us. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Our darkest ghosts aren't always hidden away in abandoned rooms. They're the unlived lives, the dreams, and the potential we've quietly chosen to ignore. They're the voices we silence in those restless late-night moments of unbearable quiet. Franz Kafka illustrated this haunting truth powerfully in his parable, Before the Law. A man spends his entire life waiting outside a gate, yearning for permission to enter and claim his purpose. Days turn to years, years to decades, and still he waits obediently, convinced permission will eventually come. Finally, as he nears death, the gatekeeper quietly reveals the heartbreaking truth. This gate was created solely for him. Only now, at life's end, does he realize he'd wasted everything, waiting for approval that would never arrive, never daring to step forward and claim the life meant exclusively for him. Right now, ask yourself explicitly, whose approval am I still waiting for? Whose permission am I silently seeking while my life slips away minute by minute? Does this sound painfully familiar? Have you quietly waited year after year for permission to chase the dreams, passions, or potential hidden deep within your heart? How many days have slipped away while you've convinced yourself there's always tomorrow, always another chance? I used to lie awake feeling suffocated, trapped by achievements that held no meaning, desperate to escape expectations others had placed upon me. Nietzsche's words echoed painfully in my mind. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. But what happens when the why you've been given isn't truly yours? What happens when the life you're living was never consciously chosen, but quietly forced upon you, silently destroying the dreams you once treasured? In a chilling moment of clarity, I realized, like Kafka's tragic figure, I'd quietly waited outside the gates of my own life, obediently seeking permission that would never come. The ghosts of my abandoned dreams whispered louder each night, their accusations painfully clear. If you've ever felt haunted by your unlived potential, you're not alone. Yet here's the difficult truth Jung urges us to confront explicitly. Until we bravely face these ghosts, they'll quietly dictate our lives forever. How many more days, months, or years will you silently lose to quiet resignation? What if feeling lost isn't tragedy at all? What if it's life's greatest opportunity, an urgent invitation begging you to reclaim the dreams you've quietly buried alive? Because here's the undeniable truth: your life belongs only to you, your buried dreams, the forgotten potential quietly aching within, hold immense power to transform your entire existence. Until you bravely unearth them, your ghosts of potential will quietly haunt your nights forever. Ask yourself clearly right now, if I keep burying my dreams, who will I become 10 years from now? Every unlived dream silently steals your life, minute by minute, hour by hour, and you have far less time than you think. Have you ever considered that the life you're desperately clinging to might be precisely what's keeping you from happiness? Carl Jung profoundly declared, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart." Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakens. For years I interpreted feeling lost as punishment, clear proof I'd wasted my potential. It never occurred to me that this wilderness within, this aching uncertainty, might actually be life's greatest gift, an essential invitation toward true awakening. Late one night, exhausted from years of quiet desperation, I finally faced my greatest fear. It was 2 a.m., utterly silent, and in that darkness, I asked myself the most terrifying question of my life. What if everything I built my identity around is completely wrong? My heart pounded furiously, my breath grew shallow, hands shaking uncontrollably. In that dark moment, I confronted the cold truth I'd avoided for decades, that my career, my relationships, even my sense of self, were all carefully constructed illusions designed solely to please others. Admitting this felt like death, but from within that emotional death emerged profound liberation. For the first time, I realized explicitly the identity I feared losing had never truly belonged to me. Joseph Campbell spoke powerfully to this moment. We must let go of the life we've planned so as to accept the one waiting for us. Campbell and Jung called this terrifying yet necessary transformation individuation, the courageous journey toward becoming who we truly are beneath external masks, expectations, and imposed identities. There's an ancient Japanese art form known as kintsugi, where broken pottery is carefully repaired using lacquer dusted with gold. Instead of hiding cracks and flaws, kintsugi highlights them beautifully, transforming brokenness into exquisite, unique beauty. Like that broken pottery, our shattered dreams and struggles, our wilderness, can become our greatest strength if only we're brave enough to confront and embrace them fully. When my dream career suddenly collapsed, I felt completely broken, but from that loss came clarity. I realized my true passion lay elsewhere, transforming that devastating moment of failure into my most powerful turning point. Yet society relentlessly whispers that brokenness must be hidden, imperfection concealed. We've been subtly conditioned to chase perfection, productivity, and validation as our sole measures of worth. I believed this lie wholeheartedly, until one day, exhausted and numb, staring blankly at endless unread emails, I suddenly realized how desperately unhappy I'd become. In that moment, the ladder I'd spent my life climbing became painfully clear. It had always been leaning against the wrong wall. What if your current crisis isn't punishment? What if it's exactly the opportunity you've secretly needed all along? Your wilderness isn't punishment. It's life gently forcing you to stop, urgently urging you to confront the hidden truths you've long avoided. Feeling lost compels you to finally face the shadows you've buried. Your fears of failure, rejection, and the terrifying possibility of disappointing those around you. Individuation requires courage. The courage to acknowledge clearly that who you've been isn't who you're meant to become. Perhaps the discomfort you're experiencing right now is precisely the message you've needed. Life whispering urgently that your authentic self waits patiently beyond the wilderness. Ask yourself honestly, is the life you're desperately clinging to genuinely yours, or merely an illusion you're afraid to release? Your greatest suffering can become your greatest gift, but only if you courageously embrace it. Perhaps feeling lost isn't tragedy, but transformation. Perhaps the wilderness within you is exactly where your authentic life finally begins. Have you ever quietly considered that the life causing your silent despair might have been carefully designed that way? Carl Jung explicitly warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. For years I blamed myself entirely for feeling lost, believing deeply something inside me was fundamentally broken. It never occurred to me that perhaps the problem wasn't purely personal, it was profoundly cultural, quietly embedded within the invisible systems shaping our daily existence. Consider loneliness. Despite living in history's most digitally connected age, loneliness has quietly become our greatest epidemic. The US Surgeon General recently declared loneliness as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. One night, scrolling endlessly through carefully curated photos on social media, I suddenly felt a gut-wrenching loneliness, unlike anything I'd experienced. Hundreds of followers, yet not one true connection. Scrolling endlessly, a painful realization hit me. I couldn't name one person who genuinely knew how empty I felt, how desperately alone I was beneath every polished smile. Recent data shows 60% of adults would prefer physical pain to loneliness, yet still our feeds quietly fill with polished images whispering insidiously, "You're failing." I vividly remember tracking my daily screen time and feeling stunned to realize I'd quietly surrendered 6 precious hours each day to mindless distraction, a full quarter of my life silently stolen. Viktor Frankl's words painfully echoed through my mind. When a man cannot find deep meaning, he distracts himself with pleasure. Our distractions aren't harmless. They quietly anesthetize us, numbing our capacity to confront the deeper truths capable of setting us free. Even more quietly destructive is society's relentless myth of meritocracy, the subtle whisper drilled into us from childhood that rest equals weakness, and our value depends solely on productivity. We have quietly been sold the lie that intelligence and hard work guarantee happiness, but they don't. Nearly 70% of high achievers now quietly report severe burnout before the age of 30, trapped in lives relentlessly designed for productivity yet utterly devoid of meaning. I remember sitting at my desk, physically trembling from exhaustion, my vision blurred from staring at screens, and realizing with quiet horror that I'd sacrificed my relationships, health and happiness for hollow productivity. Jiddu Krishnamurti profoundly declared decades ago, "It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society." Perhaps the anxiety, depression, and existential dread we quietly endure aren't symptoms of personal failure, they're natural responses to living within systems, silently designed to keep us anxious, insecure, and perpetually unfulfilled. Maybe feeling lost isn't failure, maybe it's our deepest instincts quietly fighting for our survival, rebelling against a society intent on making us endlessly consuming, never content, never enough. It was only after my health collapsed and relationships fractured that I finally saw clearly. This relentless exhaustion wasn't a badge of honor, it was quietly destroying everything I loved. Ask yourself honestly right now, what if the exhaustion you quietly accept is precisely what's destroying you? Jung urgently urges us, confront the unconscious patterns controlling your life, or remain their prisoner forever. Perhaps the quiet discomfort we feel is our soul's desperate rebellion whispering urgently, "Wake up, this life isn't yours, it never was." Because here's the undeniable truth, the life quietly killing your spirit might have been deliberately designed that way. Recognizing these invisible forces isn't despair, it's liberation. Once you clearly see how society quietly steals your happiness, you can finally reclaim your life as truly your own. If praise and approval vanished tomorrow, who would you truly choose to become? Carl Jung profoundly wrote, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." For years I desperately searched for external validation, books, therapy, seminars, hoping someone else could finally tell me who I was supposed to be. Nothing external ever worked. The emptiness always returned, quietly deeper each time. Then, one silent night, alone and exhausted, I realized I'd been asking the wrong question all along. The true question wasn't, how do I stop feeling lost, but rather, who am I when nobody else is watching? Rediscovering yourself rarely happens dramatically. It unfolds quietly, uncomfortably, yet powerfully. It begins the moment you bravely dare to sit alone, facing the silence you've always avoided. When you finally strip away external identities, job titles, relationships, achievements, you confront something terrifying yet liberating, your authentic self, hidden beneath masks, quietly imposed by others. Viktor Frankl explained this truth beautifully. Success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue as the unintended side effect of dedication to a cause greater than oneself. Maybe our true purpose isn't flawlessly fulfilling others' expectations, but courageously discovering a purpose genuinely ours, born from authenticity, passion, and meaning rather than external validation. Tonight, not tomorrow, but tonight, I invite you to write a letter to the gifted child you once were, the artist, the dreamer, the adventurer you quietly abandoned. Explain honestly why you left those dreams behind and commit clearly to reclaiming just one of them, starting immediately. Jung called this making the unconscious conscious, the essential first step toward genuine self-awareness. By confronting the shadows within, we finally reclaim our identities from societal expectations and quiet conformity. Feeling lost isn't tragedy, it's opportunity. Life quietly invites us through uncertainty and discomfort to awaken to truths we've ignored for far too long. Campbell echoed Jung powerfully. We must let go of the life we've planned so as to accept the one waiting for us. Your greatest suffering truly can become your greatest gift, but only if you courageously embrace it fully. Imagine clearly 10 years from now, if you do nothing, will you still be quietly trapped by regret, silently mourning the life you never claimed as your own? Or will you be living authentically, fulfilled, having bravely faced your deepest fears? Right now, someone you deeply care about is quietly convinced they're utterly alone, silently drowning beneath expectations they never chose. Someone you know is silently dying inside right now. They desperately need to hear this tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. Share this video immediately because your courage in openly speaking might save someone's life. Subscribe now because together we're reclaiming authentic lives no longer hidden beneath masks forced upon us. Maybe feeling lost isn't failure, maybe it's finally proof you're ready to embrace the person you've always been meant to become. Perhaps the quiet, restless wilderness within you is exactly where your authentic life truly begins.